Welcome to another edition of Fansview Friday. Today we'll be covering Fanime 2000 in Santa Clara, California. We've been covering a lot of Fansview reports from the Mid-Atlantic, and I think it's about time we cover a couple of West Coast conventions for a change. So, last week we covered Fanime 2001, and okay, let's take a look at Fanime 2000, which was a 4-day event in February. Fanime these days it's usually taking place on Memorial Day weekend. So let's take a look into the memories and memoirs of Kevin Lillard's Fansview website. For those of you just tuning into your first time of Fansview Fridays is a look at Kevin Lillard's old convention reports and cosplay photos. This is a time capsule of the time it was posted. His original website is now defunct. However, it's been archived by Internet Archive. And this is just a way for us to preserve those moments and pieces of anime history, anime localization history, because you get quite a bit of gold nuggets just looking at and hearing some of the guest interviews here. And remember, we also have a lot of old cosplay photos here, so we can also take a look at what fandom looked like back in 2000. All right, let's just dive in right away. FanmateCon, February 24th through 27th, 2000, Santa Clara, California. Hiroyuki Yamaga left and Takami Akai, right, of Gainax were among the guests of honor at FanmateCon. Some people got to FanimeCon well before the action started. Now, this is a hotel lobby, was a moment overheard from a fan who walked into the Santa Clara Westin Hotel, the home of most FanimeCon's events. Now, this must be an anime convention, might have been said by some people who spotted Kevin Bennett of Studio Iron Cat just off the plane from Japan and asking for this picture to be taken so that Sachiko Uchida would know he was actually at FanimeCon. Kevin Bennett then rushed outside to make sure that brother Steve Bennett, Iron Cat's art director in the gray sweater and fresh off Katsucon 2 weeks earlier, was on hand for a rare West Coast appearance. Hey, we got Professor Ramses in the chat. And Professor Ramses is Steve Bennett's millennial equivalent. I felt like I've seen this guy's face before. And you know what? I have. Here's one of the reasons that fans attended FanimeCon. Hiroyuki Yamaga, the co-founder of Gainax, a studio which produced Royal Space Force, His and Her Circumstances, and Neon Genesis Evangelion, along with a host of follow-up Evangelion games. Yamaga promised some revelations about Gainax plans for new projects. Waiting for Yamaga and the rest of the show was this group of fans, the lead pack of those expected a 4-day weekend. They were on hand several hours before registration opened, and the first events took place. I know this guy! Rob Miles of Bay Area Anime Society was on hand to keep the peace and deal with those who were looking for a room at the last minute. Volunteers got crash based, he noted. Miles said he wanted to be a personality of the week. Be patient and wait until June, he was told. First FanimeCon event, of course, was this video room. The convention took up most of the meeting space on the hotel's first 2 floors, with other events scheduled to take place next door at the Santa Clara Convention Center. And the mundanes were also counted and present. This meeting of builders was one of several which hung on the Westin on Friday, getting in their last show before anime fans took over for the weekend. I'm going to screenshot this because we do have someone in Cosplay Wrestling Federation who cosplays as a character known as Bill Ding. We caught a couple of people in costumes on Thursday. Okay, let's see what cosplay looked like in 2000. Doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Okay, we got Martian successor Nadeshiko. We got Ruri over there. Have some Final Fantasy I want to say that's Vampire Princess Miyu. We got some Kenshin going on right there. I feel I know what this is, the gentleman in the polo shirt, but I'm not sure. Someone mentioned it in the comments. I don't know. Okay, just scrolling down here. Yay, Sailor Mars! Got Sailor Neptune. We got Girl Type Ranma. Okay, that's it for Thursday. Studio Iron Cat is looking for titles and readers. This man wants you to buy these graphic novels and promises that more are on the way. Art director Steve Bennett at Studio Iron Cat pointed out the collections of Crusher Joe, Vampire Princess Miyu, Dragon Wing, and Futabakun change, noting that most of them have remastered art and new translations, improvements from the original books. Coming next are the collections of Hyper Dolls and Ogenki Clinic. Those graphic novels will be easier to find or order from mainstream bookstores such as Borders and Barnes & Noble, Iron Cat said on Thursday. Mark Hoffman, Lev, and Kevin Bennett Wright of Iron Cat added that when the Vampire Miyu series ends, Iron Cat will pick up the companion Vampire Yui series about another vampire who's both a sister and a daughter to Miyu of sorts. Shinpai Ito, the Hyper Dolls artist, and Seno Knife, the artist of the Valkyr series from Iron Cat, plan to attend Project A-Con in June, the two said. That visit might coincide with the publication of the new horror title from Knife, but Bennett isn't sure our Americans are ready for it. We're not sure if we're willing to push the envelope that much. His stuff runs the gamut, Bennett said. Americans probably are ready for sepia and erotic fantasy from Knife, which is already out of the Sexy Fruit label from Iron Cat. Sexy Fruit label. Remember the Gun Crisis Police series from Masaomi Kanzaki that Iron Cat once published? Steve Bennett said the company plans to bring the title back. And from the beginning of this time, the Gun Crisis series that got into print a couple of years ago was taken from the middle of a much larger storyline. It was meant to be an ongoing series about people in that group. It's not supposed to be about one person, Bennett said. He warned that the opening story of Gun Crisis is more violent than the books that Iron Cat had already printed, but also noted that Japanese audience seemed to like that kind of thing. After placing its top management last year, Iron Cat has been trying to restart some projects. Hoffman and Kevin Bennett said there is a possibility that some major Japanese companies could be getting involved with a small Virginia company, but they're not ready to announce anything. Anime's greatest librarian was at FanimeCon, and this, my people, is my man Giles, one of my mentors in writing and publishing. Oh, talk about an extreme close-up. This could be the most influential fan in the US because he reaches people who make a living out of literacy. Giles Portres, who was born in French-speaking Quebec, grew up on a California farm, and makes up his living as a librarian in San Francisco at Golden Gate University. For years, he has been advising other librarians on how to use anime and manga to attract young people to books in an era where youth are said to be watchers, not readers. Librarians know the value of popular literature, Portres said at FanimeCon on Thursday night. Librarians are interested in what appeals to kids. Young adult librarians are very flexible in what they're buying, and you'd have to find something that interests kids and shoot for that. California may be different from the rest of North America, but Portres has found that many youth are asking for anime and manga in libraries, especially in Oakland, across the Bay, and San Francisco. Librarians have said to be careful of the titles that they make available, he admits. There's often sex or violence in the show. They have to be careful, but if librarians choose the tamest stuff in the world, someone's gonna get upset. He recalled a story told by another librarian about how one parent questioned the risque humor in an episode Ranma 1/2 until the librarian explained what was going on. There's a tradition of mixed sex bathing in Japan. Portres has taken his love of anime to the internet news groups and the World Wide Web. He regularly posts a list of available titles and maintains a website that recommends what shows libraries should stock. Portress's next step is to create a website certification program to identify pages with the best fan information on anime and manga series. Since he's a fan, Portress has decided to call the program the Onsen Mark, after the high school teacher in the yesteryear series. Portress planned to start the program in April, with the best sites eventually being identified on the anime web turnpike. Portress has spoken to the overflow of crowds of librarians, readers, and anime fans about the special Japanese art form. People at Fanime can also follow the path of the anime Pied Piper on convention's first night. When a false fire alarm sounded in the middle of Portress' panel discussion, people had to evacuate the hotel. Most of the people who had been listening to Portress followed him outside into the cold and rain. Like the ancient Greek philosophers who had taught on a hillside, the discussion continued on the covered walkway outside the hotel despite the uncomfortable weather. The big two of the convention held court on Friday night. Okay, this must be the Gynex panel. Through the ups and downs of Japanese film and game studio known as Gynex, these two men have been through it all since the beginning. Takami Akai, best known as a game designer, and Hiroyuki Yamaga, writer, producer, and director, have been a part of the studio's best known projects. Yamaga has been a regular guest at FanimeCon for several years, and in 2000 he brought Akai with him to share the experience and learn what the American audience wants. Ooh, I love Princess Maker. Fans of the Princess Maker series, where players try to raise the perfect teenage female, applauded when Akai said he was hard at work on Princess Maker 4. We're trying to rebuild the system from the ground up, said Akai. Most difficult is we want to make it simple and fun to play, but detailed how complex. Finding that balance is what we're working on now. Akai added that creating the cute characters for the game is harder than it seems. If I draw a character 5 times, 2 times, it's not cute. I have to sit there until I make it my own, and it's cute 5 out of 5 times. At first, Yamaga said he was working on a secret project. Then he said he was trying to write novels, but was having a hard time coming up with a story line that would sell books. In Japan, what the audience expects is different from what I want to create, he said. That led to a discussion about how Hideki Anno had a masterful job of reaching young people worldwide through Neon Genesis Evangelion, and how Yamaga works hard to discover the youth of Japan and America want from their entertainment. Coming to FanimeCon is a big asset, and it provides a lot of insight, he said. Maybe he's done too much data collection, Akai joked, saying Yamaga is all but trapped in his office by the books he reads. No, I don't think I do that much, Yamaga replied with a straight face. Somehow, the conversation turned to the animated films the two created for the Daikon conventions in Japan. Those films are known as the first Gynex films, remembered for all the conquering bunny girl character. American fans enjoy the film's broad parody, but the Japanese creators have fixed feelings. There's a source of pride in something you want to strangle, said Yamaga, who is more interested in new projects. I don't see them for a long time. Just thinking about them sends shivers down my spine, added Akai, saying he wants to produce better films than the old ones. Oh, hey, looks like we got Dokudel in the chat, and Professor Ramsey's Princess Maker is available on the Switch, by the way. Yeah, I do miss me some Princess Maker. I used to play that a lot in high school. I remember I got like a emulator for it. Customers flocked to FanimeCon on Friday morning. Let me see if there's anything I missed. I felt like I missed something. Did I? Nope, that's it for day 1. Okay, day 2. Customers flocked to FanimeCon on Friday morning. All right, let's take a look at fandom in 2000. Okay, we got Sakura from Sakura Taisen. Scrolling down here. If any of you know these fandoms, just give them a shout in the chat or in the comments. There's Pocoroso. Got a Sailor Neptune in the background. Okay, looks like we've got 6 pages of costumes here. We got Makoto. We got, looks like it's the same Sailor Mars from the previous day. Neptune looks also like the previous Neptune from Thursday. Scrolling down here, we got Miyaka from Vishugi Yugi. Okay, we looks like we have Final Fantasy. I might know these people. Okay, we got Materia Thief Yuffie over there. Looks like these folks are in line for something here. We got Misty from Pokemon. Wow, like, can you believe it's like almost 25 years of Ash, Ketchum, Misty, and Brock? It feels so timeless. We got Jupiter and a Pikachu there. Irvine. Sakura. I don't know what this is with the Ryoki plush, but I love it. I dig the feathers. I have a feeling I know what it is, but I don't want to say it out loud. It looks cute though. I like the aesthetic. I like the silhouette of it. Yeah, like, I have a feeling of what it's from, but I'm not sure. Ah, Magical Sammy. There you go. Thank you, Dogodel. All right, next page. Come on, load. All right, we got an Utena crew. I actually might know some of these folks here. Oh, check out that camera from back in the day. Cavernoa, Sorcerer Hunters. I was actually at an event. I was actually a guest at an event that utilized the same hotel. It was back in 2017, and it still looked about the same 17 years later after these photos were taken. Remember when Cabots ruled the world? I do miss me some Cabots. We got Sailor Moon. Oh, we have Slayers. Yeah, it's a secret. Okay, that's it for the collection of costumes. The pair from Gainax took a trip down memory lane. It's appropriate that Takamiya Kai and Hiroyuki Yamaga, were two of the founders of Gainax Production Studio, got together at the Fanime convention because a convention in Japan was where the company got its first big break. Akai, Yamaga, and Hideki Anno were film students at the same art college and moved on to into this same cramped apartment in Osaka. It's not like we fell into this, we had this dream, said Yamaga. During the Friday panel discussion, Akai actually got out of his chair and acted out what it was like for the three artists to live in the apartment, which wasn't much larger than the ballroom stage on which they appeared. Among other things, Yamaga and Akai said they didn't like the smell of coffee and milk mix that Ano liked. The three wanted to make an animated film so bad that they got an 8mm camera, put together some pencil tests, and photographed them frame by frame. The result entranced them. The characters came alive and gave us more self-confidence in their drawing, said Akai. From that original 3-minute animated test came the hope for something larger. I said, hey, let's make a movie out of this. We can do it if we put the time and energy into it, Yamaga recalled. I wonder where we went from there. It was a ways back. what came from the cement that cemented the Gainax legend. The fans who ran Daikon 3 Sci-Fi Convention in Japan asked the three to make the con's opening animation. That was a very big honor, said Yamaga. With a staff of fans to work on the animation, the three created what is considered the greatest fan animation in history. It was the original superpowered schoolgirl, a 10-year-old who stopped being cute and started to beating up monsters with her ruler that transformed into a light sword. Here's this 10-year-old who has a backpack with the power of a Gundam, Yamaga said. Back then, the audience thought it was a really cool idea. We were trying to shock the audience. Later, opening animation featured the Daikon Bunny Girl, and that work led to three friends to move to Tokyo and get jobs in the animation industry. Those early years produced some irreverent recollections about how they didn't like the designs of Transformer Mecha in the original Super Dimensional Fortress Macross series, something about how they look like bananas, and had to change the designs. In those years, Yamaga got a job despite his mediocre drawing skills. When the studio that hired him learned about the shortcoming, Yamaga was told he didn't have the drive to become a success. Eventually, Yamaga and his friends proved that was very, very wrong. Let's see in the chat. Gainax was into tokusatsu, and a lot of their early stuff were homages to Toko at the time, which is cool to see now with Anno doing all these tokusatsu movies. Yeah, like Ultraman and Kamen Rider. Fred Patton talked about the new and old of anime fandom. Fred Patton was born before there was an anime industry or anime fandom. He goes back to the original days of the Cartoon Fantasy Organization, the first attempt to organize anime fans. Some people sound nostalgic for those days when the only way to see the most anime series was through copies of tapes, and the holiday series in Japan were a little more than rumors in America. Patton disagrees, preferring the current era when nearly all of the best from Japan can be found on store shelves across the US. I would say the good old days are now, said Patton. There is the attitude that anime should have stayed in a small group. One fan said anime isn't special now, everyone knows about it. Making it available to everyone always was the goal of fandom. Patton said he is surprised that so many Americans are infatuated with anime, that this art form seems poised to be a part of the cultural mainstream. But he also thinks there's a lot of growth for anime fandom. Right now, anime is still a cult thing in its own ghetto, he says. I still think there's more to be done, so you can show Ghost in a Shell or the X movie and have that considered as the normal movie instead of anime, said Patton. To that end, he thinks that Kiki's Delivery Service should have gotten the kind of theatrical release that Princess Mononoke got, instead of being sold direct to video by the Walt Disney Company. Since Patton is a promotions director of Streamline Productions, the company long identified with the 1980s Robotech series, turned into the Robotech 3000 animated project, which is coming not from Streamline, but from Harmony Gold, the company that still owns the Robotech name. Robotech 3000 is going to be a mostly computer animated show based loosely on the Americanized version of Macross and other anime series. Patton said that Robotech 3000 is still being pitched to TV program executives for syndication and probably won't get on the air until through 2001. Yes, we scoff at Robotech 3000. We chased down some Friday afternoon costumers. Yeah, looking at Rams's comment here, like 2000, ha! Oh, check out these Tenchi cosplayers. Okay, we got Larva from Mew. Oh, I assume that's Nanami from Utena? Because it looks like a choo-choo keychain. Not sure, but it looks cute. See the same person with wings. I'm not sure what that's from. I want to say Angel Sanctuary. Looks pretty, but I wasn't a huge fan of Angel Sanctuary. I kind of thought it was like a X1999 ripoff. Ooh, I love the Saturns here. Mr. Snide and Saturn. Looks like we got Ruby Moon. I kind of like this candid photo here. It looks like she's about to do like this burlesque kind of pose with the glove. Kind of has that like glove pose. Okay, we have some more cosplayers here. And again, if you know what they are, just shout them out in the chat or mention them in the comments. Oh, we got the Tenchi trio over here. Oh, interesting that they have the opening ceremonies on day 2. Fanime's Con's opening ceremonies came at the midpoint of the event. All right, who were at opening ceremonies? When Con chair Michael Wright took the stage for opening ceremonies, he had a few serious words for the crowd. Fans were acting up and the hotel was unhappy. Ooh. So Wright urged everyone to calm down and use their heads. Then things settled down to the typical opening ceremony silliness. There was one part of the ceremony that showed how popular anime is in California. The Independence High School Drum Ensemble performed selections from Yoko Kanno's music for the Vision of Escaflowne. It should be noted that the opening event was held at the end of the convention's second day. But no one seemed to mind, especially when the guests of honor were introduced. It started with Hiroyuki Yamaga of Gainax, who brought the preview of a new show that was cheered, while fans booed the Robotech 3000 preview. Then former Gainax designer Takami Akai had his moment to welcome fans to the event. Stan Sakai, creator of the Usagi Yojimbo series, made his first appearance with a convention phrase in Japanese, followed by "That's about the extent of my Japanese." Singer and songwriter Marujima also made her first convention appearance, accompanied by her 2 sons. She tried to put on a brave face on her Friday travel frustrations. An airline lost the box with the audio CDs she planned to sell at the convention. Next up was the introduction of writer Ryan Omega, a first-time FanimeCon guest, and anime Mark Couch, who hopes to have a full-length show produced by his Plastic Pixel company. Fred Padden, anime fan in a long and distinguished standing, told the audience about his 27 years in organized fandom. While writer and librarian Giles Portress told the crowd, "When you reach the point of going to cons, your soul is lost." A special added attraction at the opening ceremonies was actor and director Taliesin Joffe, who is working on a new English language dub for Pioneer. Finally, there came a successful attempt to embarrass Steve Bennett of Studio Iron Cat, something about teabagging. In the chat, Professor Ramsby like, "Better get used to those booze, Harmony Gold." The collection of costumers grew on Friday evening. All right, we've got 6 pages of cosplay here. We got Princess Chibi Moon. Oh, we have, looks like this is an Eternal Sailor Saturn. That's so adorable. Like, it's hard to imagine that the Eternals designs were from 1997, and in 2024 we finally get to finalize animated designs of them. Aw. There's a Rose Bride, movie Utena. It's just so cute. I love it. Got Toga. I love this guy's pose right here. Like, just kind of give me like the, "Well, excuse you." I want to say that's from Ray Earth. Looks like we got Seiya, but not the Saint. Oh, Vampire Hunter D. I've actually finally watched Bloodlust for the first time over the weekend. I liked it. We have Kid. Got characters from Bust a Move, Rana, Sailor Jupiter, Samurai Showdown, Cool Guy in Leather. I feel like I know what this is from. Okay, looks like we got some King of Fighters cosplayers here. There's a Kim cosplayer, but that's not our buddy Azure. And in the midst of King of Fighters, we have Tifa from 7. Shermie. Yeah, fun fact, I've never actually played King of Fighters, but I wanted to try for the first time when I was at San Diego Anime Con this year, because for some reason they had King of Fighters 98 in the hentai room. That kind of confused me. Scroll down here. Looks like we got Surge, Sakura, Kenshin. Yeah, thank you, Rams. It's very rare that people are willing to teach me how to play games. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Okay, so yeah, we got Harlock over there. Some costumers got together for a few minutes on Friday night. Let's see what they got together for. In one of Friday's latest events, a group of cosplayers met in a small room at the hotel. Many of the group members, many group were members of the cosplayers mailing list and had never had a chance to meet each other in person. Aya, who greeted everyone with her wings, had a surprise for the group in the book that she held. Oh, a book of cosplayer trading cards from Japan, just like baseball cards in the US. A group of costumers had a picture cards produced and distributed. This collection wasn't for sale, but everyone in the room was encouraged to take a look so Aya could record their reactions. The costumers and fans at the Fanime Con meeting seemed delighted with what they saw. While a group of Japanese cosplayers was unable to get to FanimeCon, their leader was called away on business in Europe, Aya said. One costuming fan traveled to the convention from Shropshire, Great Britain. Fiona Clark, who has attended and volunteered at sci-fi and anime conventions in Great Britain, noted that her trip to California convention was nearly as long as the trip from Japan. I will keep note of that. Seeing and admiring a pair of costume wings. They weren't real feathers, by the way, but you had to look very close to tell. Clark said she'd like to set up a website one day with costuming information so that fans can learn how to make better outfits without having to repeat others' mistakes. Okay, let's talk some Stan Sakai. American manga's favorite rabbit belongs to Stan Sakai. Why a rabbit? When artist Stan Sakai set out to retell the stories of Japan's feudal era in his Usagi Yojimbo series, why did he choose to make a lead character a rabbit? He looks good with his ears tied up, Sakai joked at first. Then he noted the rabbit has long revered in Japanese culture. Instead of a man on the moon, it's the rabbit in the moon. Sakai also said that he grew up with another rabbit character on US TV, the mostly forgotten Crusader Rabbit anime cartoon from the 1960s. The other Yojimbo influence, the noted samurai film of its name, shows in the appearance of the rhinoceros Gen, whose 5 o'clock shadow came from actor Toshiro Mifune. Sakai has been drawing Yojimbo's adventures for 16 years, and there's a lot to be left to be told. I started to scratch the surface of the stories I wanted to tell, he said. He produces one page of the book each day using stories that are based on Japanese folklore, while other stories are his own invention. Yojimbo may be popular in Europe than in the US, with the new book now going on sale in Italy, France, and the Netherlands, and even in Croatia. When the Croatian publisher approached me, I asked him, "Isn't there a war out there?" He said, "That's Bosnia, not Croatia," Sakai recalled. As Sakai stood at his table in the FanimeCon Artist Alley, there was a steady stream of fans who walked up to visit. In turn, Sakai showed them pages in progress from a Yojimbo series he was writing on deadline, which places his characters into the story of the building of a historic shrine in Nagoya. Sakai said there was a tough story to tell because he wanted his drawings of the shrine to be accurate, and he had experienced a hard time finding reference pictures of the building. Yojimbo is deliberately drawn in a cartoony style in the manner of Sergio Aragonés. The artist whose Gru, the Wanderer, is lettered by Sakai. The cartoony style of drawing has gone out of fashion, with some artists following the example of Todd McFarlane, who had adopted a hyper-realistic style for their superhero books. "They've gotten too extreme," Sakai comments. "With a fist size of heads, it's gotten so distorted." Sakai recalled Aragonés confronting one of those hyperrealistic artists at a dinner and complaining that you are the guys who ruin comic books. Now everyone expects us to have perfect anatomy. This trio dreams of animated success in the US. All right, let's hear your pitch. Yes, Rams, I agree. I'm glad we went away from that design. I'm not gonna lie, just real talk here. One of the things that just turned me off from American comics in the late 90s was the hyper realistic style. And that's what really appealed me to shoujo, what attracted me to shoujo styles. If you look at Naoko Takeuchi's like soft, like feminine styles, Uetase, Clamp, and you pair that up next to the extreme realism of the 90s and what was being sold in mainstream comics, yeah, there's something else that's going to appeal more to my feminine eye. And I'm actually really glad that the new Dazzler comic, and we actually have like artists working on comics, like one of my personal favorites, Marguerite Sauvage, who also is integrating like a softer kind of art style with a Western kind of art styles. Take a look at the latest Dazzler comics to see what I mean. All of these guys want to see their animated films shown at an anime convention one day, not just as a demonstration film, but as a major feature. Sean the Touched White Radish Productions, Left, has been on these pages before, but Jerry Caraway Center and Mark Hooch write a plastic pixel are new faces to the site. "I'm treating this as a hobby," said Koch. "If it's a complete failure, I can fade into the woodwork." Koch hopes to finish a film in the next year and then release it to fans on DVDs. Caraway has produced much of the art for Plastic Pixel Project, while others have been unpaid volunteers in putting things together for Koch. "I've been doing this for 2 years. Sometimes I go home and ask, what's wrong with me? I love doing animation, but it does have its burned out spots," said Koch. An inspiration for Koch animation dreams was Sean, after whom Koch was patterning his project. Sean also is helping Koch with his work. "All these fan animators are trying to help each other. It makes sense to bind together," said Koch. By the way, Sean said he has a longer version of his Pink Lemonade animation ready and plans to show it at Anime Central in May. What will Plastic Pixel produce? It's a complicated story about interdimensional travel by mutated space aliens. Some who traveled to Earth and left offspring who are supposed to develop that traveling ability but haven't yet. Part of the reason of the Earthbound offspring can't jump between dimension is that caffeine blocks that ability, and one of them is addicted to coffee. Just by coincidence, Koch admits he is a heavy coffee drinker. I love that this is put on a presentation board. This is probably before the days where you can hook up your laptop or your personal laptop to like a projector, and And I just love how this is like on a PowerPoint, not on like a presentation board here that you'd use at a science fair. This is just like 2000. Yeah, what a time. Like I said, these are time capsules, and I'm glad that we're doing our best to preserve all these periods of time here. This trio wants to write their way into your home. If you're going to be an anime and manga fan, you have to read something eventually, even if it's just subtitles. That might explain why these three book authors gathered on Saturday to talk about their projects. Left to right, they're God's Portraits, Fred Schott and Ryan Omega. While they are working on books, no two projects are the same. Portraits is following up from his anime companion book, which sought to explain his cultural subtleties in the anime, but not always explain. His new book will introduce new fans to the art and prepare them for reading and viewing adventure ahead. I'm contributing to further otakunization of American culture, said Portraits. I'm glad I can call you my mentor, Giles. Thank you for helping me entering this new era of my life. Further otakunization of American culture. Schott is working on two books, but he'll talk only about one. That's his historical story of a 19th century American, half Scottish, half Indian, who traveled from Hudson Bay Company trading posts in Japan in 1848, when a nation was still closed to the outside world. It's a true story that inspired a manga in Japan. Schott wouldn't say much about his other book, except he hoped to release it on April 7th, 2003, the day Astro Boy will be born. Omega's book, ironically enough, was inspired by his 1999 experience at Famicom game show, where some of the trivia questions were too hard for fans to answer. So he decided to write a book on anime trivia to give fans a better idea of what's going on in the shows they like. Omega added he's anxious to learn what impact the expected U.S. telecast and cable cast of Gundam Wing, Cardcaptor Sakura, and Tenchi Muyo will have on Phantom. Well, you can read that all about that in my book, which is called The Fangirl Diaries, coming out next month, actually. Link in bio if you want to like just get a copy. And you know what? If you ever see me at an anime convention and you have a copy of the book, I'd be more than happy to sign. I had to like plug right there just because. Oh no. Wait, I know the answer to this question. Is Mariojima saying goodbye to anime conventions? No. Were Mariajima's two concerts at Famicom her last anime convention concerts? Recently, she's been hinting that she might cut back on her convention appearances, and the singer and songwriter hinted as much during her first show in Santa Clara. It would be right to start at Famicom and end at Famicom, Ijima said, referring to her 1999 concert that marked the start of her convention tour. Along with a collection of songs from Macross and her No Limit album, Ijima performed Love of My Life from a Queen album. She said she liked that group when she was in junior high school, but her mother didn't like their chest hairs. Her son Andy also made a stage debut playing some of music from the Zelda video game. Okay, here's some photos of Mariojima performing. Oh, look, that's her son right there. Okay, Hiroyuki Yamaga spoke about the necessities of anime production. These are production drawings from Fudikuri. Oh, Rudy! An OAV series in production from Gainax and Production IG. While it's one of the latest anime series from Japan, it has its roots in the school of animation started by the late Osamu Tezuka. Very little moves, but in a sci-fi setting, I like to think the characters are realistic, said Hiroyuki Yamaga, one of Gainax's founders. Yamaga, on the left, with translator Toshi Yoshida on the right, is 38 years old, not much older than the post-war anime industry. Every Japanese animated film that followed the war was inspired by the movies produced by the Walt Disney Company. Yamaga recalled Dumbo was a practically impressive movie. The Toei Animation Studio, which claims Hayao Miyazaki as an alumnus, was formed to challenge Disney films recalled Yamaga. Around the same time, the Mushi Productions company, created by manga artist Tezuka, was set up to make a weekly TV shows on a tiny budget. Those two companies were the genesis of today's animation industry, and they were often bitter rivals in the 1960s, said Yamaga. Regardless of whether an animator came from the Toei school or the Tezuka school, they have to work with less money than the lavish American post-war cartoons. What was the difference? A lot less cells, Yamaga said. In a conversation scene, Disney will have the characters moving, but in Japanese animation, everyone freezes and only the mouths move. By the way, I started watching Kimbo the White Lion, and this much is true. Because when you're watching Kimbo the White Lion, you have to question, like, wait, am I watching anime or am I watching Hanna-Barbera? Overcoming the limitation has been one of the charms of anime, which tells vibrant stories while holding a number of cells per second to a minimum. The low cell count has been a fixture of anime, from Jungle Emperor to Neon Genesis Evangelion. The beauty of anime comes at the expense of some very hard work. Getting started at a studio like Gainax, Yamaga said, and you'll get an entry-level in-betweener's job. You'll sit at a cramped desk, more appropriate for a World War II U-boat than a motion picture studio. Expect to spend 15 hours a day at a desk drawing cells, for which you'll be paid no more than $2 a day, no matter if the cell shows a moving mouth or an exploding planet. The faster you work, the more cells you produce and the more money you make. Impress enough people and you might move up to a key animator's job in 3 years, said Yamaga. Yikes. These were some of the Saturday costumers. Okay, we got 5 pages of cosplay. Yeah, that's rough. $2 a day for 15 hours. Ugh. Oh, I love Gollum Lena. That's awesome. Looks like I've got Amelia from Slayers. Got some Gundam love over there. Looks like it's Giran because it doesn't have the Char look. I assume that's Giran, but I'm also getting Char's counterattack vibes from it. But maybe it is Giran. It's been a while. Come on, move to the next page. Ah. Yeah, we have one of the goddesses. I need to watch at OAV again. You got Rick Hunter. I want to say that's from You're Under Arrest. We have, I assume that's Minako from Sailor Stars. We got Chun-Li. Wait, Chris, is that you as Tonberry? Wow, that's an old school camera. You got some Tomb Raider going on there. We got Rick and Lisa Hayes, or Misa Hayase. This looks familiar. That mask looks familiar. I just can't tell, and the pixely stuff kind of makes it hard to tell what it's from. Maybe someone in the chat can provide some insight. Ah, Lady Oon. I do love that. Okay, Final Fantasy VIII. I want to say this is from Silent Mobius. Okay, looks like the rest of the images here are broken. Oh, sad. All right, looks like we'll go into costume contest territory here. Let's take a look at the Saturday Night Masquerade. And you've got 15 pages of cosplay contest fun. Oh, we got the Sile sound system here. Okay, just scrolling down. Okay, it's a boomer. Not your parents. I love this Serenity. So we got some Sailor Scouts being interrogated. We got Seiya, but not the Saint. I thought that was a rice ball at first. Like, oh, it's one of those spirit dealies from Mononoke. That's Sound Mobius. Oh my god, look at that Misty, so adorable. I love it. Card Captor Sakura. That's so adorable. It's Nosuke. Got Tenchi. We got Officer Jenny's. Okay, Final Fantasy VIII. I remember when Final Fantasy VIII cosplay was just like all the rage. Sephiroth. I don't know what's going on. Is this a part during Fanime where we like kiss and stuff? Because I'm not I'm not complaining. But there's an awful lot of hetero going on. A lot of het going on at the moment. Ah, Rose Bride. Got some Pikachu. Totoro. Oh my god, that's some Tenchi. So we've got some Ranma fun here. Pokoroso. Oh, that's a beautiful Miu and Larva. Oh, Jupiter. Akane. Moose. See, are the photos gonna load? Are they? No, yes. No, they're not gonna load. Well, let's see if they're gonna load here. Okay, let's keep scrolling. Got some Ray Earth. Do love me some Ray Earth. Okay, let's see who won. Okay, grand prize looks like, I want to say this is, not sure what game this is. I'm like, Dynasty Warriors? Help a girl out here for grand prize? Dynasty Warriors, yes? Second place looks like it went to this Eternal Sailor Moon group. That's why I'm just kind of like this question where like it appears like it's like the eternal interpretations of the Sailor Senshi, but kind of look a little bit different. I know I say this because like I've made like 5 Eternal outfits, and I'm also on the way to making Eternal Sailor Mars. But you know what? They look great. I like it. We don't know what first prize is. However, it looks like second place went to Sicele Sound System and their feet. Wait, you can get a tie back then? Looks like it went to Delandau from Escaflowne, and it went to Demio and Larva. Nice. Not sure what that's from. Porco Rosso. Anime Pavilion Award. Hey, remember when like sponsors would like give out awards? I remember that. And there's Princess Serenity. Fans Best First Prize. Fans Best Second Prize. Fans Best Third Prize. Okay, looks like we saw our award winners. It's kind of a running gag because I always joked around that I wanted to like just make like award statues of like hot dogs, and like if I ever become like someone in the industry and like was able to give away my own masquerade awards, I would have like the award wiener, and would just be like a statue of a hot dog. Like, I would like to present you the award wiener. Okay, we found a few more costume posts to. We found a few more costume pictures to post. All right, let's take a look. See here. This looks familiar, but it's very Pocky Princess Darcy coded. We got some Gundam Wing Boys. Vampire Hunter D, which is an awesome movie. You gotta see Bloodless. It's amazing if you haven't. Okay. Scrolling through. Oh, that's a pretty kimono. I like it. Mononoke. There was like a lot of Mononoke going on in 2000. I want to watch that movie again. It's been a while. We got the Officer Jenny's. Okay. Viz is moving from Pokemon to politics. Oh, I do remember hearing about this manga. I actually was quite curious about it when it came out. But I was like the weird person, like, yeah, I like shoujo, and I'm actually kind of curious about the concept behind this. But yeah, let's learn more about Eagle. Thanks to a deal between Shokugakuan and Nintendo, Viz may seem to have turned into a Pokemon company. Since Viz's parent company in Japan publishes the Pokemon manga, the American company has published all the Pokemon manga and several other books, from kid stories to origami. Yet when Viz's representatives gathered at FanmeCon, they had other projects to discuss that had nothing to do with Pikachu, although they mentioned that children seemed to be attracted to the large Pikachu poster in their San Francisco offices. And Viz is ready to issue a line of merchandise linked to the second Pokemon movie when it's released in 2000. Also, Toshi Yoshida on the far left joked that we have a big Pikachu in the back and we milk it. The great experiment for Viz is Eagle, the making of an Asian American president. Edited by Carl Horn, Eagle breaks the patterns of comics and manga release in the US. The story is a realistic tale of a half-Japanese presidential candidate, much in the spirit of the earlier Sanctuary series released by Viz. But while Sanctuary was released as a 24-page comic, Eagle will be published in a 110-page volume that will serve to advance the story along the same time frame as the actual 2000 presidential campaign, noted Horn. It's the most fascinating manga I've ever read because of what Mr. Kawaguchi observes about America, Horn said. Also, Eagle has a unique cover created by Horn. Instead of flat stock, it's being issued with expensive feeling coated paper. Printed on that paper is a graphic made of video captures from a cable news network showing actual 2000 presidential candidates. Again, a link to link the manga to the real campaign. Horn promises to update the graphic in the coming months to show what the real candidates are doing. Extra care was taken in adapting Eagle for English language readers who read left to right, while the Japanese is right to left. Most of the translated manga was flipped to put the key panels in the direction so they're read in English, but key panels such as those showing cars on American roads were left unflipped and pasted into the flip pages so that US cars aren't showing on the left side of the road, said Horn. I'm actually curious to read about this now, because like it piqued my curiosity back then, but I didn't want to look like the dork who was reading political manga alongside Cardcaptor Sakura Clamp. But I think like since there is a talk of like pining for Asian American stories like within manga, I'm actually kind of curious to see what that perspective was in 2000. What was all this talk of Rumiko Takahashi visiting America? Yoshida said it might happen. This is reaching the 10th anniversary of the release of her manga One Half series in the US, and there's hope of getting her to Comic Con International in San Diego during the summer. While waiting for that trip to be finalized, Viz fans will have to settle for a lot more Dragon Ball in printed form. A fresh pulp collection from the first 2 years of the mature-oriented anthology, and a book of interviews with leading Japanese artists. Did Megumi Hashimura really write a Pokemon tale? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I might have to find this manga like on the used market or like at Book Off. But you know what? I'm really curious nowadays, especially with our political climate, to read just how that was perceived back in 2000 and make the contrast to 2024. Bandai wants to be your Gundam company. Oh, check out these like old school Gunpla boxes. Famicom was the last convention before the big break for Bandai division that sells anime videos and model kits. Anime Village in the early March, Gundam Wing was scheduled to make its cablecast debut on the Cartoon Network. Jerry Chu of Bandai said there would be two versions of the show on the cable network, an unedited version at midnight and a version trimmed down to meet the network standards and practices. The word damn will be edited out from some of the showings, Chu said. Gundam Wing videos will follow the late spring, both subtitled and dubbed versions on DVD. And you can expect to find more Gundam model kits in stores such as Toys R Us, with Japanese packaging and English language instructions. Chu hopes that Gundam Wing is just the first of Bandai's US home video series to move to broadcast or cable television. The more stuff you have on TV, it translates into dollars because of exposure, he said. To make that possible, Bandai's executives recently went on to the National Association of Television Program Executives Convention in New Orleans, the gathering where syndicated shows are sold to stations and networks. At NatP, Bandai was shopping Vision of Escaflowne, Cowboy Bebop, and Gundam for broadcast, said Chu. Bandai is still looking for more shows to release on home video, and one of those programs is a fan subber's favorite, the Jubei-chan Lovely Eye Patch series. It's another case of a superpowered schoolgirl, only this time the girl doesn't really want the superpowers and doesn't take the stories too seriously, even with a cast that wants her to fight every opportunity. Among those titles could be a children's series made fashionable with the success of Pokemon. She said Bandai is considering a series that resembles in some ways the Cardcaptor Sakura series that another company is bringing to the US. We're a wholesome company. We're the Anti-Tentacle company, Chu said. Let's keep this in mind. So Jerry Chu, in his Wu-Tang Clan hat, says that Bandai is a wholesome company. Bandai, the Anti-Tentacle company. Last year, it seemed like we were the science fiction company. We want to do more action for the older crowd and things for the younger crowd. Bandai's home video future could include a live action series that Chu wasn't ready to announce as Fanime, but an announcement might come to animation, he hinted. Other changes might come from the gradual home video movie from VHS tapes to DVDs, he noted. Bandai plans more DVD releases and expects to cut prices on some of them. Blue Submarine will drop from $25 to $20, he noted. But with subtitles and dubs both available on DVD, there could be fewer subtitle tapes in the future, Chu said. And he predicted that right. Okay, so in the chat, looks like there is a live action version of Eagle. It's adapted from a South Korean TV drama, and yeah, in 2010. Curious to look that up now. Mariojima had an amazing story about a movie audition. In her Saturday afternoon concerts at FanmeCon, Mariojima wore a blackless blouse under a jacket. In her Sunday concert, Ijima said she nearly went frontless as well. Oof. Ijima noted between songs, just before the convention, she had auditioned for the role in an American movie with a Japanese director that would have required some nudity. When she asked her son Andy, he replied, go got it. But she figured she never got the role because she never heard back from the casting director. I didn't want to get naked anyway, Ijima said on stage. After the concert, Ijima sold more of her self-produced No Limit album. She said she's looking at making another album in the next year, possibly with a guitarist from the band King's X. I like any band that has many interesting key changes. That's my thing, said Ijima. The California convention came 2 months after Ijima made her U.S. television debut on the Pacific Blue series on the USA Network. I got a lot of airtime, Ijima said about her role as a tour guide who was really an accomplice to a theft ring. They said, do you know you're playing the biggest liar part? Can you act that naturally? I said yes. After Mari's son sang, a woman in the audience told Ijima she wants to be a singer in Japan because she likes J-pop. Ijima told her that's possible, but she had to be fluent in Japanese. No one wants to hear a song in Japanese when we can't understand what the singer is saying, Ijima noted. If you sing perfect Japanese, you can go for it. All right, let's hear Kevin's final thoughts on Fanime 2000. This was the author's first exposure to Northern California fandom, and a chance to see if it was different from the Southern California fans seen at Anime Expo. It is about 380 miles from Santa Clara to Anaheim, pretty much the same distance between Detroit to Louisville. The author is ready for regional differences in behavior, but a couple of things over the weekend came as a surprise. On the convention's first night, during a panel discussion featured Takami Akai and Hiroyuki Yamaga, a cell phone rang, a man answered the call and loudly started a conversation, drowning out the guests of honor. No one tried to tell the man to SDFU. Then at Saturday Night Cosplay, the audience launched a 2-hour non-stop barrage of insults. The people on stage couldn't even deliver their lines without a smart aleck remark from the audience. A couple of costuming friends said they were surprised by the audience, while another said that's pretty much the way fanmade crowds usually act. That's horrible. The saving grace of the night came when the concher played the piano music that's become known as the theme from the Peanuts TV shows, then called for a moment's silence for the late Charles Schulz, who lived in California. For once, the audience was silent and respectful of someone. Around 2,400 people attended FanmeCon, according to staff, around the same attendance as in 1999. The author heard some complaints about the length of lines, especially on Saturday, FanmeCon's busiest day. One fan said he was in line that got moved from the inside to outside. There was a good reason for that: too many people, not enough space to put them. The hotel and the convention center wanted to keep space clearing the halls, and from time to time, the best place to put the lines was outside, where there was some room to move. And the convention was watched by those who had the authority to order that things be done right. We were told that the fire marshal checked out the dealer's room and was pleased with what he saw. The number of people in the dealer's room was strictly limited. Convention staffers counted each person who entered, then cut off the entrance when the limit was reached. Another staffer counted those who left, and for each person who exited, another person was let inside in groups of 5. Yes, I would like that fire marshal to also to attend AX as well. There was one complication to the dealer's room. One row of tables was used for video gaming because there was extra room. We're not going to do that ever, convention staff said. Hey, it's Azure Mage. Welcome, welcome. At the gripe session on Sunday afternoon, convention staff admitted confusion over the starting date of the event and apologized for not answering email questions for information. Also, it sounded as if the pulling of a 14 fire alarm was blamed on the convention and led to some extra security attention that the event got through the weekend. Guards were posted to watch those getting on and off the elevators on the first and second floors. It was an unusual weekend at the convention. Not that there's anything typical about an anime convention, because were so many groups at the hotel and the convention center. Along with FamiCon, there was a computer sales meeting, a dental insurance seminar, a photomicrography meeting, big business in the heart of the integrated circuit country, an Islamic meeting, and a christening, complete with a wet bar. The security guards at the convention center managed to keep all of those groups heading in the right direction at the right time, but it took some work. But the most bizarre scheduling of the comic but most bizarre was the scheduling of a comic book convention in the convention center on Sunday, the final day of FanimeCon. Since the comic book event was just around the corner from the anime convention, and since FanimeCon's dealer's room closed at an unusually early 1 p.m., there was talk that some people who wanted to buy things at FamiCon might end up going to the comic book convention instead. Chalk it up to the author's traveling from the safety of his home territory and daring to enter the brave new world of California. You know you're in a different world when you sit at a hotel restaurant and listen closely. On one side is a young woman talking about the selling of Sailor Moon costumes on eBay, while on the other side are 2 men in sweaters talking about internet service providers. In the sports section of the newspaper, there is an ad saying that betting on a horse race is as exciting as the initial public offering of stock. The Color Palm Pilot is the front page news here. The self-proclaimed world technology capital, centered around San Jose, California, is nestled between hills to the south, east, and west, leaving the north and open for the San Francisco Bay. While other large cities sell smokestack industries at their airports, San Jose has big ads with reference to computer network protocols. The Dallas airport has Cowboys memorabilia, the Minneapolis airport has Jesse Ventura dolls, and the San Jose airport has a wireless internet booth with a drawing to win a free laptop PC. And there you have it. That is Fanime 2000 as told by Kevin Lillard. Thank you again for joining us for another edition of Fansview Fridays. And if you haven't yet and you want to learn more about this era of anime fandom, and if you want to learn it from the perspective of a teenage weeb, buy my book. Check it out. It comes out next month. The link to buy is in the description of this video. If you're at a con that I'm at, I'm more than happy to sign off. If I'm not at a con that you're at, let your local con know that I'd love to be a guest. I'd love to do panels. I've judged cosplay contests before. I'm more than happy to help out the community in any way I can because I love this community. And with that said, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Fansview Fridays. Always love having company here at the cottage on Fridays. And with that said, we will see you